Hey everyone. Hi Kendra. How's it going today?
Hello, all is well. It's still early. The day is still young, but so far so good.
Awesome. Well, welcome to our second talk story. We're super excited to have you today. We're going to have so much fun just chatting. So let's do a couple introductions. So first, my name is Heather Villanueva. I'm the Deputy Director of More Equitable Democracy. I use she, her pronouns, and I am based in Seattle, calling in from Duwamish land. What about you, Kendra?
No pressure or anything. Very impressive. But I am Kendra Lee, Policy Manager for the Equity Alliance. Pronouns are she, her, hers, and residing in the great state of Memphis. It's an inside joke. So if you are born and raised here, you understand what I'm talking about.
Awesome. Well, I'm here for all the inside jokes. I might not get all of them, but hopefully you won't judge me.
Judge-free
We
zone.
are
This is a
excited.
judge-free zone.
Judge-free zone. Judge-free zone. I love it. But probably not a cone of silence since we're live on Facebook, right? Ooh. So yeah, we're super excited to be here on Talk Story. Just so folks know the background of Talk Story. Talk Story is a Hawaiian pidgin phrase that's talking. It comes from the Pacific Island tradition, the Hawaiian tradition of sharing stories and community, passing on traditions and building community just by talking and telling your stories. And so this is one of the things we want to do at More Equitable Democracy is share the stories of leaders of color who are doing amazing racial justice work, working to transform our democracy. So that's what we're here to do today. We're here to talk story with Kendra and hear all about you and your history and build community with you. Does that sound good?
Yes, you love to hear it. So I'm ready. Do my best.
Awesome. Well, let me let everyone know a little bit about you, Kendra, and hopefully I get all of this right. I'm really excited to talk to you today. Kendra Lee is a native Memphian and graduate of Spelman College with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a JD from the University of Dayton School of Law. So, Kendra, you are a lawyer and an organizer, bam, and now serves as a policy manager for the Equity Alliance. And a little something about you is that you used to be a fan of Coach Calipari, and Kendra wants you to know that, people change.
Things change, people change. So it's okay. And if you're a Kentucky fan, I'm okay with you, but it's cool.
I think that was one of those inside jokes that I don't get, but I think it's okay. I'm going to go Google Calipari later. So,
all right. Don't say I didn't want to, but just go ahead, do it at your own will.
Is it gonna give me a heartache?
I really hope that like the first things you Google, like check for everybody that's from Memphis. So if you go through like tweets or Facebook things, so make sure your Google search includes Memphis and Calipari, just so you can kind of get the whole context that's there. But I will not spend the rest of this conversation talking about my animosity towards our former head coach. So it's cool.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. Well, let's start with the icebreaker just to get things a little juicy. What is the most interesting quirk you've picked up over the past year and a half?
So I think it's a continuation of a quirk that I started with. So in law school, I consumed probably unhealthy amounts of caffeine. But however, I did really have like a appreciation for different coffees. And actually started when we took a trip to Guatemala my second year. And we got a chance to visit one of the mountains that they were actually doing a coffee on. So what I picked up during the quarantine was I hand grind it now. And so I buy them whole, and every morning I just kind of walk around, I pace, and I grind, and then I use the stovetop espresso for my morning beverage. So I think that's quirky enough.
Nice. You sound like you are actually, you would fit in really well with the Seattleites over here.
I know.
sometimes Seattle people leave Seattle and they try to go get coffee in other places, and then we just like pull our hair out because we're like, what is this? Like, why do I have to wait so long to my latte? Like, can't you just make what I ask you to make? Why do you keep having to ask me all these clarifying questions? Yes, I'm sure I know what I want. Oh my gosh, it's like a whole thing. You could tell I actually have feelings about it.
I have a sincere appreciation for the art form of coffee. I appreciate it. That's what it is. So you guys feel free to take me in.
All right, come on over. Come on over. Anytime you want. Anytime you want. The most interesting quirk I have picked up over the past year, I don't think anything interesting. I had a baby, so like my whole world just like turned upside down. Everything is different. So like not sleeping, is that considered a quirk? I don't think so. Or learning how to operate with very little sleep.
We could have just said the kid was a quirk. I would have given you credit at that point right there. So like I had a kid. I was like, all right, I understand. And all the quirks that come with that. So I say that it works.
Oh yeah, no, I know what that is. That actually makes me think that is that I actually kind of like Baby Shark now. Like I hate to admit it, but I used to think it was really annoying, and I still kind of think it's annoying, but there's all these remixes, including like
it's a little mesmerizing though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's catchy. It's easy to follow along. So I understand.
It's got choreography. So,
once again, I get it. Judge free.
Thank you. I feel the community is building. I can just feel it in my bones. I love it. It's happening. It's happening. Cool. Well, the point of these conversations are to get to know each other a little bit more. So I know we've already started, but I want to hear less about me and more about you. So tell us about like, who were you before the activism, if there was a you before the activism, and what brought you into activism?
Okay. See, I always get so awkward when it's time to talk about myself. But we'll see. I'll do the best that I can. I think before the word activism, I mean, strong advocacy has kind of been a thing for me. I come from a huge family. So on my mother's side alone, she has 14 siblings, so 7 brothers and 7 sisters. And so we have always been a very vocal family. I'll use a nice word, vocal. And so if you wanted to, you would have to literally speak up for yourself to like be acknowledged, or you can kind of just be lost in the noise or lost in the background. And I will say that I am very fortunate to have such a strong group of like Black women who have always taught us to advocate for ourselves. If there is something that you want, let it be known. If there is something that you feel isn't right, you say something about it. And so it really has started, they say that it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm just very grateful for my village for allowing me to grow up in a space where I never felt like I had to downplay anything or that I didn't have the capability to speak up. And so I think that it was just a natural progression to then operate in a space where you're advocating for others because you were able to have that opportunity to grow and advocate for yourself and then have that support. So definitely I would say that like I always tell people that my family is my origin story. A lot of things that I've learned, a lot of the confidence that I have, a lot of the wisdom and the insight that I possess now is directly because of the people that, raised me to be here. So I think that's the Kendra Lee story.
I love it. I love it. And that definitely resonates with me. My family was also activists as well. And so I am also, what was the polite way that you said? Not just loud, you said vocal?
Vocal.
Yeah. I've always been vocal too.
Very vocal group. So I love it.
I can relate.
So I appreciate it.
I love it. Well, why don't we move on to a game? This is actually going to help us even more get into this. Like, tell us about your people. So this game is actually called My People, My People. We're going to take turns, right? The point of this game is just, so we can acknowledge how many different identities we have and how complex they are and all that business. Okay. So the rules are simple. We're going to set a timer and we're going to go back and forth saying who our people are. So for example, I might say my people start celebrating Christmas in September, and then you'll go.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Okay, any questions? All right, I think we're gonna start the clock. I'm gonna
I'm
let you go first. All right, you're going first. Go ahead. As many as we can.
Ready?
Go ahead.
All right. My people always back into parking spaces.
Ooh, my people are always thinking about the next meal.
My people like to ask who all gonna be there before we show up to anything.
Ooh, my people politely say they're gonna show up, but then at the last minute cancel.
My people probably prefer sweet potato over pumpkin pie.
Ooh, my people think that chicken is not a meat.
Ooh, okay. That's through it before. My people consider 40 degrees to be too cold.
Oh, my people. Oh no, 9 seconds, 8. My people love to eat mangoes all day from the street.
My people have the best hot wings in the country, in the world.
Love
glad
it.
I ended on that note.
Yeah, no, I am glad you did too. I was struggling for a second there. Okay, I gotta know more about a couple of these, and you can ask me about yours. So tell me about backing into parking spots.
It's just kind of a running joke. Like I think the rationale is that if you back into a parking spot, like when you get ready to leave, it just makes more sense because now you get to just go right out. You don't have to turn around and like see who's behind you or make sure you don't run over people. And so it just makes more sense to just spend a couple extra moments whipping it and bagging into it. And then when you get ready to leave, you can just get out of there.
I feel that. So is that a Memphis thing, or can you name which people you're talking about when you say that?
I think it might be a Memphis thing.
Okay, that's cool. It's good to know.
Sure. So yes,
when next time I go
come to Memphis, you see someone backing in, don't be alarmed. It's a customary practice here, so no worries.
I love it. I'm into it. I'm totally into it. I know how to move my car around. So did you have any ones that you wanted to ask me about?
Yes. Why is chicken not considered to be a meat?
Okay, so this one is definitely like Filipinos. This is not necessarily Filipino Americans. This is Filipinos. Well, it can be Filipino Americans too, but because when people who are vegetarian go and they go to the Philippines or they go to an auntie's house and they're like, yeah, I'm so excited to eat. I'm really hungry, but I don't eat meat. They'll be like, oh, okay, chicken, okay. Do you like to eat chicken? Or sometimes they'll just give you chicken soup, and it's like no, because I think that in their minds it's like pork and beef are the meats, right?
Well, so if that's the case, I will say that I will fit right in, and I would love to figure out how I can make the connection and pull up to the house one day for a family function. And, I won't disappoint the family.
Come eat all our food, man. As soon as we can all eat together, we're going to be eating together. I love it.
As soon as we can be able to do it safely, Lord, then we'll be here.
Yes. Cool. Well, let's get a little serious for a second because, I love to be silly, but I really want to hear about your work, and your work is serious and our work is serious. So can you tell us a little bit more about the community that you work for? And just tell us a little more about them. Who are you going down for?
So I think that, very simply put, like it's a very unapologetically Black stance for advocacy. And a lot of people who may watch and say, well, why do you think there is such a need to have such an intersection of like who you're doing this work for? And I think that a lot of the times when you talk about the disparities in the very intentional ways that we got here, you have to be just as, if not more intentional about addressing these issues and coming up with remedies and finding solutions. And so you want to be able to do the work. So you can't be afraid to put a name on it. And so when I say that, a lot of the work that I do is to remove the barriers or remove the systems or remove the outcomes of how Black people have been treated disproportionately in this country. I'm okay with being able to say that. I'm okay with being able to put a name to that because I think that it's important for us not to lose sight of, again, the very intentional things that were done to Black people in America. So you can't feel some kind of way if there's very intentional acts done for Black people in America.
Yes, yes. All the snaps to that. All the snaps to that. For sure. I feel you. I just feel like there's this tendency, right, for people to try to solve racism with race neutral policies, or like, we want to make sure that there's less disparities, but we're just going to introduce this policy that's going to help everyone. I'm like, well, if you're going to introduce a policy that helps everyone, then you're going to leave those disparities in place and people are still going to be left at the bottom of the barrel. Like, I don't think you're doing what you think you're doing.
Exactly.
Or maybe you are.
Or maybe you are. But I think that a lot of the times when you talk about the race neutral language, or when people say, I don't see color, particularly a lot of people like to use the colorblind language. I think the opposite is what we're trying to accomplish. You need to see all of the colors and you need to treat them all the same. I don't think that it does you a service to say, I'm going to remove color from everything, but you need to acknowledge and appreciate each distinction on its own, but still be able to make sure that you have that equity and that equality when you see them all. And so that's kind of what it is, because if you don't see color, then you don't see me. And the whole point of it isn't for us to be able to decrease the visibility. It's about increasing visibility. And so I think that a lot of the times, even though people may mean well by wanting to be able to kind of form it and create that narrative, once again, if you are very intentional about how you started something, you have to be very intentional on how you want to end it. So if you say that, you, for example, talk about the disparities in banking and mortgages, well, if you know such the devastating impact that it had on Black families who were literally denied loans, and therefore you don't have anything to pass down to your children as far as land or as far as housing or as far as being able to have another set of income, then you have to be very intentional about fixing those things. And so it's not necessarily going to be enough to say that, well, we're just going to, have a flat way that we do it. If you know that the impact was so devastating for one particular group, you should be able to make sure there's more emphasis and more input there so that you can allow the other groups to get to the place where everyone else was or is before the barriers were put there. And so I think that, we're all saying the same thing. We want things to be less screwed up, but the way that you do it is going to be very important. Because if you're talking about making a very substantive impact on groups that were traditionally discriminated against, you have to do a lot of work to make up for that. And I think that, it's not enough to say if we all lived on the same block and someone came over and set my house on fire, it's not enough to say, well, we didn't set it on fire and we're not going to do anything to put it out, but hopefully it just goes out on its own and we'll just watch and see what happens. Like, you have to be able to do the work to remove the wrongness. And I think that a lot of the time, a lot of the policy is it's too friendly and it's not intentional enough. You have to be very intentional about addressing wrongness. And a lot of the times it's like, well, you can't come up with good policy to solve wrongness if you don't want to even address that wrongness exists. And I think that a lot of the times people like to talk around things as opposed to talking about them. So if we are seeing that we had a long tradition and a long history of using our governmental affairs and using our systems, again, to mistreat Black people, you have to say that. And then you have to figure out a way to be very intentional and strategic about erasing those wrongs so that you can be able to say, now we're making strides to be on some sort of equal footing. But you can't just act like none of it happened and all of a sudden we're just going to start doing things a new, different way. You have to be able to do things a different way based on the wrongness that you have to acknowledge was there before it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And you could say that again and again all day. I am here for it. But let's talk a little bit about the Equity Alliance. Thank you so much for that. But Equity Alliance is so much rad programming to set the stakes for Black-led grassroots organizing in Tennessee, or make it happen. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how this organization was founded and how you joined the team?
Yes. So the Equity Alliance is Black women founded and Black women led, and they came together with about $250 in 2016 and said that, you know what, it's time for us to be able to pull our resources together and really do some real intentional strategic work to address, again, the disparities of Black Tennesseans across the state. And so I didn't necessarily catch wind of the Equity Alliance in probably about 2018, maybe. I was working as Regional Voter Protection Director at the time, and I was attending an election commission meeting, and I heard that, whoever this group is, that's the Black Tennessee Voter Project, they're going to toss out 40,000 of your voter registration forms because of incompleteness. And so I had no idea who that group was or any of those things. So I started scrambling. I called my direct report and was like, hey, I'm not really sure who has anything to do with the Black Tennessee Voter Project, but can you please find out who it is? Because they're talking of throwing away 40,000 of their voter registration forms as opposed to giving them the opportunity to remedy those. And so from there, they took that information, of course, were able to file a successful lawsuit to be able to get those things together. But from that moment forward, I was like, I don't know who these two fantastic Black women are, but I'm going to make sure that I keep up with them from now on. And so once I realized that it was Charlene Oliver and Tequila Johnson who were spearheading this initiative, I was like, whatever they're doing, I'm trying to be a part of it. I don't know when I can get to be a part of it, but right now I'm gonna just keep my eye on them, see what they're doing, see how they're moving, and then I'll be able to try to figure out how I can finesse my way into being a part of the work that they're doing. And so even throughout the rest of that 2018 election cycle year, I literally just kind of watched them, like very fangirl. Like, it's really refreshing to see this level of strategy implemented across the state. And so you had just never seen anything like that so massive happening. Of course, we all have our local organizations that do great work, between Memphis, between Nashville, between Chattanooga, and some of our other places in rural Black West Tennessee as well. But to see it all connecting together the way that it was, I was just very impressed. And I was just like, again, I had never heard of this group. I had never heard of these women before that. But I was like, it resonated with me so much to see and be like, they're working so hard to make something shake for our state. And I was like, once this voter protection thing is over, like, I'm trying to figure out how I can be able to work with them. So, of course, after the 2018 election cycle was over with, I ended up doing like some local elections, and then I ended up working as a community organizer for the Elizabeth Warren presidential primary. But still following everything that they were doing, like when the Equity Alliance would show up to Memphis, like I made sure that I would be there wherever they were, because it's like, I really appreciate what you guys are doing across the state, because this is exactly the type of work that we need. This is exactly the type of mindset that we need. And to be able to see that this was coming again from a Black female-led organization that was doing this level of work at that scale, you have to be able to be impressed by that. And so I was just like, we know that voter protection is kind of my thing, but however I can be able to help you all, find a place for me if you can. Like, holla at your girl when we can be able to get to the right places. And so the stars aligned. And there was an opportunity for me to apply and do the policy thing for them. And so after working with the Ossoff runoff campaign, I was able to start with the Equity Alliance as policy manager January of this year. So we're coming up on my 1 year anniversary. But we hit the ground running immediately. Was into our special session where they were trying to, we had our governor that was trying to defund Black schools here in Memphis and Nashville. And to be able to work with an organization that allows you to be your most authentic self at all times. That was just very, very refreshing to be able to have that. And really just having, your leaders to be your colleagues, but also to learn from, because there was tons of information there, knowing how the game works and still learning and being able to go through that learning curve together as an organization is really something that you don't get an opportunity to see with a lot of the nonprofit work that happens across the nation. So very grateful and fortunate to be able to do that work with these women and with our amazing team that we have. Like, we have grown to over 11 or so full-time staff. We have tons of people that are working with us for the Black print, for canvassing, which I'll probably get a chance to touch on a little bit later. But to truly see what the Equity Alliance has become and where we're going is really, really exciting stuff. And I know that a lot of people count Tennessee out, like, oh, there's no hope for what you guys got going on. But we're working here, y'all. We're working. And every single day we're working to make progress and to have strides. Some days are going to feel like baby steps. And some days are going to feel monumental. But every single one of those days, we have to be ready to do the work. Of course, we're going to rest. Like, we're coming up on our holiday out of office in a couple of days. But,
yes.
We're always here to be able to be an advocate on behalf of Black Tennesseans, calling out the disparities and coming up with ways into which we can make it better. And being able to work with and collaborate with whomever to be able to get their progress done. That is how I feel about the Equity Alliance. And so very grateful to be able to be here, to be a part of the work and to contribute in any way that I can.
I love it. I feel like a lot of my career has been similar in that I just like see folks who are doing really good work and I'm like, yo, can we hang out? Like, I just want to hang out with you. Can we be friends?
I'm about to stop you a little bit. I'm going to stop you a little bit, and I'm going to be here, and I'm going to stay here until things get awkward. So you should just let me come hang out with you right now.
We're going to have fun. Trust me. Hell yeah. I mean, no, that's how we do it. It's all about relationships anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay. I want to talk a little bit more about your work. You talked about Black print. I want to talk, let's talk about reparations and power. I really want to get into that. The Equity Alliance is building a reparations policy as a way towards equitable access to power, resources, and freedom. Can you make the connection for folks between reparations, power, and democracy reform? Because I'm not sure it's super obvious to everyone.
Yes. So when we talk about, first with the Black print, with the Black progressive reparations agenda that we have here set out for the Equity Alliance, we talk about the concept of reparations. And again, a lot of people hear it and it's become politically divisive. But if you just look at what the actual word means, and very similar to, a contract term that we would be able to have, it's like, you want to be able to get people back into the position that you had before the wrongness was done. And just give back to, again, the wrongness that's there. And so I think that a lot of the times when people hear the word reparations, they feel as though it is, going to something that's indicating whether it's handout or giving away something, or, something that, you don't work for, or you haven't worked for, or you haven't already earned. And that's
Mhm.
just that it couldn't be anything further from what it is.
Right.
We talk about reparations, you people who are having a hard time dealing with the concept is because, they make this connection of saying that, oh, reparations in America, Black people want to be given something. When really it's just that you want to be paid what you're owed. And
Mhm.
so if you have done a certain amount of work and if you've already put in a certain amount of effort, you want to be able to see a return on that. And so when you have gone centuries of putting in work, being able to contribute and not seeing anything happen from it, the moment that you talk about how can you be able to right that wrong, then you come with the concept of reparations. And it's just that being able to have your power and really talk about democracy reform is that when you are able to see the returns on the investments that you've made, whether it is your intellectual labor, whether it's your actual physical labor, whether it is any type of community investments that you've done, then you can be able to see how you can have an investment in what's happening around you. And so if you can see the dividends of your work, and then it's going to encourage you to maintain that engagement. I think that a lot of the times when you talk about why people may be disengaged, it's because people don't feel as though they're invested in something or that the government isn't
Mhm.
invested in them. And so when you talk about being acknowledged and acknowledging your efforts and acknowledging your contributions, then you can be able to purely have power in that. And so once you can be able to kind of create these ways of power building, then you can really be able to talk about how we can be able to implement reform. But I think a lot of the times we'd be remiss to not address the fact that there is a lot that we are missing out on when you talk about, again, righting the wrongs. We aren't here to put blame on anybody at this point. I think that there's just way too much time and effort being spent on pointing a finger. It's not about who did it. It's about what was done, and now how can we in this space figure out a way to right the wrong. And so that is exactly what we want to be able to do here at the Equity Alliance with the Black Print and our reparations policy agenda. And so, just as though, when we hear reparations in the initial 40 acres and a mule that you hear from that was, the whole rationale behind that was that that should be enough to get Black folks on their feet kind of situation that's there. So if you translate that
Right.
out into policy, what kind of policies do we need? What type of governing needs to be able to happen so that we can make sure that we're equitably situated as in comparison to everyone else that's here? And I think that again, when you talk about the very intentional ways that there were barriers placed in front of Black people from a federal, state, a local level, then you have to be able to come up with ways with your same policy. So the same way you use that policy and the same way that you use that governing to make sure that you were counting Black people out, you have to be able to come up and keep that same energy to make sure that you're addressing those wrongs so that we can all be able to move forward and progress together.
Yes, I love that. Love, 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 love. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about that work, and I don't know, just yes, yes to all of that. Yes to all of
Yes.
it.
And I was like, I probably should have been able to have a link to share with you. But we are still taking surveys from Black Tennesseans across the state. If you have not done so, please, please, please make sure that you are able to complete the Black Print survey. We definitely want to be able to have as much input as possible because we want this to be collaborative. We want this to be community-based work. So we cannot be able to do this without you. And so I will try to find a link very quickly to scramble to share. But in the event that I'm not being able to do so now, I'll definitely be able to make sure to get it to you guys somewhere.
I think we're going to be able to make this happen. We're going to make it happen one way or another. This link is going to get out there to the people so that folks can take it. Cool. I think we're going to have them in the comments of the Facebook Live. So
yes.
Keep your eyes out there if you're watching now or in the future. It's going to be there. It's going to be there. Mm-hmm. All right. Super excited about that. And just all of that 100% resonates. So I love it. All right. We're going to go to our final game closing. So this is basically Wait, Don't Tell Me. Okay. It's inspired our own version of Wait, Don't Tell Me, our favorite newsy interview show. So, whether or not you're familiar with NPR, it kind of goes like this. I'll tell you a limerick, or I'll recite a limerick describing a recent news event, and then I'll leave the last word for you to guess. Okay? And then if you don't get it right, we're gonna never talk to you again. Just kidding.
No pressure.
This is stupid. Pressure. We would never not talk to you. Of course we're gonna talk to you again. All right. Let me put on my limerick voice.
Game show face.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to More Equitable Democracies. Wait, don't tell me. All right, here's our first limerick. Congress wanted to send their hellos to some of the former president's fellows. But as you could guess, those guys are a mess. So they voted in contempt
to... I don't know.
Okay, time's up. Sorry. I guess we're not going to talk again. Just kidding. Mark Meadows.
Oh! Yes.
Yes. All right. So on Tuesday, the House of Representatives.
I do know, guys. I do know about this. I do know about Mark Meadows.
Yes, I will. I'll summarize that for our audience. I know you know. I know you know.
All right. I know. I was like, I know this.
Yeah. So U.S. House of Reps voted to recommend holding Mark Meadows, who served as chief of staff to former President Trump, in criminal contempt of Congress for refusing to cooperate with its investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol. So the ball is now in the Justice Department's court, which will consider whether to prosecute Mark Meadows, who will be the first former member of Congress to be held in contempt of the body once he has served. In contempt of the body that he has served in nearly 200 years.
Okay. Who knows? Maybe Christmas can come early this year.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. All right, you ready for the next one?
All right. Now I think I got the concept. I think I could. All right. I think I can do this.
I mean, I don't blame you. Limericks are not like my natural form of poetry. My natural form of poetry is making lumpia. Okay, food. It's food. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. South Dakota hockey fans in bleachers thought they were getting fun in-game features, but those grabbing fistfuls of bills, giving Squid Game like chills, were in fact just very desperate.
Teachers. It was teachers.
Teachers! Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. We should have like a
very shameful display of capitalism there, but yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me summarize this for our audience. A viral video from Saturday Sioux Falls Stampede junior hockey game shows in their inaugural Dash for Cash event featured 10 local teachers on a rug at center ice, scooping up $5,000 in donated $1 bills and stuffing them into their shirts and pockets. Oh, did they stuff them in your bra, stuff them in your shoes? The promotion encouraged teachers to collect as much money as they could to help fund their classroom projects. What is going on that the teachers are doing this? They don't have money to fund their classroom projects?
Teachers more across the board. Pay them more. The work that teachers do, they need to pay teachers more. You need to pay teachers more.
Hashtag that. Say it again and again. All right, you ready for the last one?
Okay, I think I'm in a good groove now. So let's see.
Yeah, no, you totally got that last one. That was amazing. I know what's going on in the world. See, you got that, JD. You got that activism. You got this guy. Okay. Cross country skiing and shooting team uniforms and flag saluting. The Olympics aren't fun if no one can't come. That's why Xi Jinping met with...
Oh, who did he met with? The UN? Maybe? Not the United
Putin!
Nations? Oh, snap! I would have not guessed that. I wouldn't have said that name. That's why I didn't guess. But yes, I did hear about the sanctions, though. I heard about the sanctions and the no fun, but I would have never I don't use Putin in my regular vocabulary. So
it's probably not actually pronounced that. That's probably how you pronounce it in English. And not anyway. Okay, let me summarize for our audience the news.
Okay.
Just today, was it today? President Vladimir Putin of Russia made a public commitment to attend the 2022 Beijing Summer Olympics, making him the first national leader to RSVP. This comes off the heels of the U.S. declaring a diplomatic boycott, like you said, those sanctions, and many others considering to do the same.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
We got a bonus one. Do you want to do it? I know we're
let's do the bonus
over time. All right, let's do it. Okay, ready. Holiday plans look woebegone. Is plane travel crossing the Rubicon? Christmas plans have been scrapped. Once again, we're trapped. And all of this mess is thanks to...
is it Omicron?
Omicron!
I was like, yes. Just as when we thought we were in the clear.
Why do we end on this one?
Keep your mask on, people.
I'm sad now. Keep your mask on. Oh my God. Go get your shots. Go get your boosters.
Over your nose.
Oh man, I was in the grocery store the other day and this man was had his mask under his nose and he was coughing.
Point of personal privilege, wear your mask over your nose.
Yes. You heard it. Kendra's telling you to do it, and we are supposed to be listening to Black women. So
hello.
Put that mask over your nose. Hello. All right, let me just summarize this last one, even though it probably needs no summary. But the news of the latest variant is spreading around the U.S. and has caused feds to impose stricter rules around flying, especially internationally. It has many travelers worried and changing planners for the holiday, including myself. But trust Black women.
Put
that mask over your nose. Right here. Okay, well, shoot, I kind of wish we didn't have to end because I think this is really fun. We're like just getting in our groove. But do you have any parting thoughts? Where can people find you? How can they support you? How do they holler at you?
Yes. So as far as the socials, you can always follow the Equity Alliance is on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. That's not that's where the generational gap is. I was like, maybe we're on TikTok. I have TikTok, so I don't know. But of course, you can also always go to the website, theequityalliance.org, to see what we are up to. Definitely being able to keep up with the Black print as well. The link is there in the comments for everyone. But yes, feel free to subscribe to our newsletters. We'll be able to, definitely kick them up in high gear as the legislative session starts back up for the new year. But if you are looking for a present for the holidays, tap in with the Equity Alliance. The gift that keeps on giving.
I love it. Kendra, this is so fun. So thank you so much for doing Talk Story with us. Let's sign off now with a big wave to our fans. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.